My name is Dr. Michael Brown, and this is 3 Words, a bite-sized podcast about the simple and yet strategic choices that all of us can make in order to become the very best version of ourselves. Today, I'm dressed in orange because I'm with my dear friend Trey Diggs, who is an athlete at Bowling Green State University. I am his life coach. He is a student athlete, and we're actually going to talk about a strange topic just a few days before New Year's Day. Stop making resolutions. What? Stop making resolutions? Yes. Instead, start making decisions. We had a great conversation today. We actually had a real-time life coaching session where Trey shared with me his goals, some areas of his life where he wants to change. And we started thinking through what are the decisions we need to make in the here and now as opposed to the resolutions we need to make 5 days from now. And so listen in. This will be a fantastic kind of first of its kind podcast episode here at 3 Words Podcast with soon to be, hopefully future to be, NBA basketball player Trey Diggs. Enjoy this episode. So Trey Diggs, we are here in the 3 Words Podcast studio. You in your athletic gear from Bowling Green State University, which prompted me to wear my athletic gear from Bowling Green State University because I, my friend, am your life coach, which is an honor for me because you are an extraordinary men's basketball player on that team, on your way to the NBA. You'll graduate in when, you think?
With my master's in August.
Okay, but you have another full season, or is this your last season?
This is my final season.
Your final season with men's basketball at Bowling Green State University. This is a little bit of a unique of a podcast because for a couple reasons. First of all, to have a student athlete here with me, actually someone that I am life coaching. We're in our friendship. We met 3 years ago. But it's also a little unique because we just celebrated Christmas yesterday, and New Year's Day is just around the corner. So all that to say, my friend, what are our 3 words for today?
Stop making resolutions.
Stop making resolutions. Now, those who listen to 3 Words, whether they're watching it on our YouTube channel or listening through one of our podcast platforms, they know I'm all about positive choices. I'm all about next choice, becoming the better version of yourself, feeling fully alive. And yet this conversation is about the fact that don't make resolutions. It was interesting. Just this week, I texted you randomly. We're always texting and talking about different things that are going on and off the court. But I texted you out of nowhere, and I said, so, Trey, what do you think about New Year's resolutions? To which you responded. Give me a little summary.
I responded and simply said, I think they're pointless. I think it's great to have goals. Everybody should have goals. But I feel like if you want to accomplish something or you want to start something new, why not start it in the next hour or why not start right where you are?
I might hire you as my life coach. That's exactly the right answer because why would I postpone? This is the number one question that I want to interact over today. Why would we postpone something into the future, even a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, that we know could provide positive outcomes and results in our lives right now? I was thinking about that even before we went on camera, and I think the reason is this. We're not convinced when we make a New Year's resolution that it's the best decision for us. Because if we thought it was the absolute best decision, that it would actually make us happy, more fulfilled, more satisfied, more alive, I would be like, I'm doing that right now.
Right.
So we tend to think, I'm supposed to do this thing that's going to be miserable. I need to do this thing that is going to be bad. I need to do this, take on this challenge. It's going to be hard. So why wouldn't I postpone it to a time and a place where I might be more emotionally, mentally prepared to do it? The time is now. So here we are 4 days before New Year's Eve, and probably some of our listeners and viewers have already started making their New Year's resolutions. And what I would say to them is, yes, make a decision, but do it now. In fact, I've said for years when I think about New Year's resolutions, if you want to start a New Year's resolution, start it December 1st. Because whatever you're going to do on January 1st, if you actually can start on December 1st and actually do it through this very challenging month of holidays, particularly if it's a fitness goal, right? If it's a fitness goal that you have planned for a New Year's resolution, if we can start it on December 1st and go right through the holidays with that, you are probably going to see it succeed.
Right.
So all that to say, I'm with you. I don't think New Year's resolutions work, but you had a great point. You said, goals are important. Do you have goals for your life?
Oh, of course.
So what are some of the
You
goals?
already said one of my goals.
Which are what?
Which is to make it to the NBA.
So my guess is for you to be in the NBA, there are a series of choices that you're making now, even 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago to achieve that goal. Hey, Trey, if you want to go to the NBA, why don't we just hold off on all the basketball practice? Why don't we just hold off on all the drills? Because, January 1st, 2022 is coming.
We'll just start it back up.
Yeah,
January 1st.
January 1st. and here's what's interesting. We've done some interesting study on New Year's resolutions, but typically they don't work. I mean, obviously. But there's more probability that they will stick if you share that resolution with someone. And it even increases all the more if you say, let's do this resolution together. So, and again, I was asking you off camera, I was like, have you ever had some New Year's resolutions that didn't really stick? And you shared a couple.
Yeah, it was mostly just when I was younger, probably just saying, because I played multiple sports, and so I was like, I'm gonna go harder now in basketball, or I'm gonna do an extra workout here or there, and it was more now like, why not just? I should be doing that every day anyway.
Every single day, everyone. Yeah.
My goal is to make it to the NBA. My goal is to play at the highest level, be the best player that I can be. Why not I should have done that a year ago.
Right.
So.
Well, and New Year's resolutions too, Trey, they tend to be very general. I want to be a better basketball player.
Right.
That's my New Year's resolution. Or I'm going to be a better husband. Or I'm going to be a better, college student. When January 1st comes, I'm going to study harder. But I'm going to study harder. It's pretty generic. I'm going to become more fit. I'm going to become more elite. I'm going to learn. We've got to break it down. So obviously when you think about New Year's resolutions, typically people are thinking, I'm going to start something or I'm going to stop something. In fact, all decisions in life are one of three things. We're going to start something, we're going to stop something, or we're going to sustain something. Every choice in your life, I don't know if you thought about this before, maybe you've heard me say this, but every choice in life is a start, a stop, or sustain. To start something new that's going to be positive for me. To stop something that hasn't been helping me achieve my goals. And we all have, typically New Year's resolutions tend to be, there's some stops, mixed in, but also sustain. There's things you're doing right now, there's things I'm doing right now that are amazing.
Right.
That are helping us grow into the better version of ourselves. So we got to keep doing that and staying disciplined. So to make it really bite-sized, though, because that's what 3 Words Podcast is all about, very bite-sized, why don't we think about what are some specific decisions we can make today and make every single day so that we can become the best version of ourselves. And for those who are listening today, I'm hoping as they turn off this podcast that they will actually do it, like you said, right now in the next hour. So that said, what do you want to see different in your life? What do you want to change, or what is a goal that you have, right? And then let's actually play this out in real time here. Let's have a life coaching session, right? Where we can actually interact and help you achieve your goal. Because you said goals are good, resolutions not so helpful. So talk to me.
I would say for me, we spoke about this before. I feel like emotions and feelings and your thoughts are extremely important with your everyday life. And especially for me in basketball, I need to be able to control my thoughts and control my feelings, emotions, and stuff like that. And I feel like I want to grow on training my thoughts in being able to
be mentally prepared.
Be mentally prepared when I need to be and stuff like that, and not necessarily letting my feelings be too overwhelming and control the next segment of my day or the game. Or if it's 2 minutes in a game, I can't let one shot affect the next half.
So if you just had a generic resolution, January 1st, I am going to become more mentally tough. Or I'm going to become more mentally prepared for school, relationships, on and off the court. I'm not sure how you would accomplish that. If you just said, here's my New Year's resolution. So if we were to actually play that out, what I would say to you, and this is what I would say to anyone, what is the dream? What is the vision? What is the perspective you want? And you actually just described it. You said, I want to be able to, on the court, think I'm okay next play. I want to be able to, on the court, be able to pivot in this and that. Like, that's awesome, right? That is incredible. But off the court, I want to be able to feel something, because I love the fact that Trey Diggs, you describe yourself as emotional. Bro, we're all emotional. We all have emotions. We all feel them. You just express them in a very dynamic way, which I think is awesome. That's what makes you fully you. But to be able to say, I'm not going to let my emotions rule my day. I'm going to actually make decisions to be able to process those in a very specific way. So here's some specific tips, if I may, just hearing this. I think it'd be really cool. I'm not sure if you even have a journal, but to have a journal that has a section within the journal on emotions. Do you have a journal?
I do.
Okay.
I do, yeah.
Now, what do you use your journal for? Have you done some of the emotional, mental work there in your journal?
So for me, when I journal, it's more of, I'm sure this is how a lot of people are. Right before bed is when all of your thoughts are starting to come about, and your mind just starts racing. So for me, when my mind starts racing right before bed and I can't fall asleep, I open my journal, and any thought, any word that comes to my mind, I just put it on the piece of paper.
So
and
get it out of your head and put it in your journal.
And it's just going on the paper, and then
did that help?
I'm able to go to sleep easier, yeah.
Well, they say the most anxiety or difficult emotions that we might have happen early in the morning when we wake up or right before we go to bed. Yep. So what does it look like for you to actually have a strategy in place, not beginning January 1st, but beginning today? A strategy in place that you actually say, maybe you actually write this in your journal. These are the things that are true. That I am secure. That I am enough. That, and I know you have a faith in God. Like, God has me, right? Whatever those things are. And then when those things creep in, you don't try to just dispel them. You actually open up that journal or grab that card or wherever you have that and begin to tell yourself that which is true. That might be a good strategy.
Yeah, I like that.
And that's not a resolution. That's a decision. See, that's the difference between resolution and decision. Resolution says, it's almost like I'm going to emotionally commit to, but we don't even know what that strategy looks like.
Right.
In this situation, we're saying replace your resolution for January 1st with a decision for December 27th. Mm-hmm. And here's what's interesting. If you did that every single day for the next, say, 21 days, you now have a habit.
Right.
If you do it for 90 days, you now have a lifestyle, and you will literally begin to rewire your brain and give it the ability to actually be, to use, mentally tough, to be strong, and to be able to decide what stays in your head and what gets, I may have said this to you before, but, it's not your fault if a bird lands on your head. It becomes your fault if you allow that bird to build a nest.
Right.
You can't control every thought that comes into your mind, and nor should you try to manage all your feelings. And yet, to be able to say, I'm not going to let this stick here. This isn't a part of me. I'm going to push that out. I'm going to review these things that are true, and then I'm going to have a great night sleep.
Yep.
Right? So what's interesting too, if you did that and didn't give up and stop doing that, I promise you will change your mental preparation. You will change your mental strength. Because all of those choices to start and stop begin to stack up. What do you think about that?
I like that. I agree, because you do anything for 21 days and it becomes a habit and it becomes second nature to you. And I've also really locked into self-talk and stuff like that. Like when I'm on the court and I get down on myself instead of being like, I suck. No.
Does that help when you say I suck?
No, it makes you feel worse.
Worse, right?
It's just like me telling myself I suck is just like you coming over to me and telling me I'm a horrible basketball player. It's very equivalent.
Yeah.
And so I've been focused on telling myself I am good. I'm one of the best players on the court right now. Like I'm supposed to be here, stuff like that. But I do.
And that isn't just pie in the sky language. That's true. Mm-hmm. So part of it is speaking truth to yourself. Right. I love that. And the only reason resolutions don't work or those things that we commit to or goals aren't achieved is because we give up. Right. I get this all the time. I don't know. So say, for instance, you started doing this. You're like, Michael Brown told me to do this thing. I'm going to write this truth down. And then I'm 5 days in and you're just like, it's not working. I get that all the time. People are like, hey, I took that advice you gave me, that decision I'm supposed to be making every single day. I've been making that decision. It doesn't work for me. I'm like, well, how long have you been doing it? And they give me some. Well, you've spent, how old are you?
22.
So you spent 22 years developing a way of thinking and processing and handling thoughts as they come into your mind. So do you think that's all going to reverse itself in 5 days?
No chance, right?
But here's the thing, whether it's fitness, mental toughness, a dynamic relationship or marriage, if you keep doing that same thing over and over and over and over again, you will achieve all of your goals. Mm-hmm. The only reason we don't achieve our goals is because at some point we go, it's not working, or it's too hard, or I just don't want to. I'm going to pause here just for a moment in my conversation with Trey Diggs about resolutions and invite you, if you are encouraged and inspired by this episode, share it with a friend or like it on one of our podcast platforms. Now back to the episode. Sometimes you just don't want to. Like you don't want to delay immediate gratification and make those choices. So it's about decisions, not resolutions.
Right.
It's about now, not then. Mm-hmm. Because, again, if you're postponing a decision to a particular day, and I think you said this in your text message to me, if you're postponing your decision for a particular day, chances are you really aren't committed to it.
Right.
And you probably aren't going to do that. Now, what I do want to say is you may not achieve your goal in a year, or you may not achieve your goal in 6. Like even fitness. I mean, obviously you're an athlete. I care about fitness, the physical dimension of our lives. Interestingly, like you can achieve all of your goals fitness-wise. It may take, I'm guessing for most people, a lot longer than they think.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, but why, it might not happen in 6 months, but it will happen in a year and a half.
Right.
But it will happen if your resolution is replaced
and
with a series of decisions. Please.
I feel like with the resolution is if you it's so easy for you to just say, I'm going to start it on the 1st of January, then it's going to be easy for you in 2 weeks to just be like, well, I wasn't doing it before. So, I haven't seen any results. So why am I doing this? I'll just quit. So like if it's easy for you to just continue to push it off until the 1st, I feel like it's going to be easy for you to eventually quit that resolution or the goal that you were kind of trying to chase. And it's like when you talk about fitness, and like changing your diet or something like that. You change your diet and you're changing everything that you're eating for a week, and you maybe shed 1 pound, but it wasn't 5 pounds. So now you're like, oh, it's not working. I'm going to go back to eating beef if that's what you cut out.
Yeah, sure. Well, and interestingly, when we do quit our resolutions, most of the time we don't say so.
Oh yeah,
like it's not like we say, you know what? Because even that shows a certain level of clarity in decision making. I'm going to stop this thing right now. We usually just let it fade away because we don't want to look in the mirror and say, I broke my resolution.
Right.
Now, if you're in it with someone else and you're doing it with someone else, it's a little harder to break because unless you both just go, yeah. But then what's going to happen is, well, if you ever break a New Year's resolution, it's my personal thought. If you ever break it, you've justified it, you made an excuse for it, and you probably have reassigned it. You know what? Now is probably not the time.
Right.
January 1st, 2023
will be the time.
Might be for real this time. For real. So again, we always go, for real this time. I'm really going to be committed this time.
Yeah.
We can't change. Trey Diggs, we can't change. In fact, it's interesting when I say that because as a life coach, people oftentimes, they'll come to me, they'll hire me, they'll work with our team and say, and the first thing we ask is, what do you want to change? And they'll list all these things that they want to change, or what do they, and I say, oh, here's the hard news. You can't change. However, you can choose. Mm-hmm. Don't think about changing. Think about choosing. See, New Year's resolutions are thinking about changing. End product. They're not thinking about choosing. So New Year's resolutions are short-sighted because they typically don't have very specific decisions and choices connected to the overall dream. Or, if I can say this, they're not sustainable. So in fact, my fitness coach, Carter Good, who's been on one of our podcasts, I think fitness isn't everything. Carter Good, good friend of mine, said, whatever you're about to do in regards to food or fitness, if you can't imagine yourself doing it for the rest of your life, don't start it.
Yeah.
Because it's not sustainable. If it's not sustainable, then we're going to get tripped up and we're going to break our resolution. So now back to your dream, your goal for 2022. You want to be more mentally tough. We've talked about the journal. We've talked about before bed. Maybe you do that when you wake up. But even on the court, I'm guessing there's certain scripts that you can predetermine. Memorize your response to difficult plays. Memorize your response to, quite honestly, a poor grade on a test. You're in the NBA program. It's pretty intense, I would imagine.
Yes,
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, yes, most definitely.
Yeah, so you have to have all of these kind of like premeditated scripts. So I think writing your thoughts in a journal, you're already doing it. That's brilliant. Don't give up on that practice. Don't make that a New Year's resolution. But then also, secondly, I would even add to that, beginning to kind of create little scripts for various situations that you're in. But here's another third word of advice, and we'll wrap up our podcast with this, is I would encourage you to begin to think long and hard about who you want to become and not just how to deal with this. So, for instance, when things are hard and you get stuck, you can actually connect the next choice to the final product. But also, when you are stuck, say you have this thought that you can't shake. You just can't shake it. I would say go through this process, and here's my decisions for you. You want to identify it. You want to investigate it. And then you want to incriminate it. So again, I'm having this thought. It's going through my head. It doesn't seem true. I'm going to incriminate it. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to investigate it. I'm going to walk around it. Where's this coming from? Why is it here? Investigate it. Maybe you do that in your journal. Maybe you do that with me. Maybe you do that with a friend. But then finally, you incriminate it. Identify, investigate, incriminate. To be able to say, I'm going to actually incriminate it and go, no, that's not true. Right. I'm going to go after it. I'm going to attack it, because typically the thoughts, my guess is there's times the thoughts that are in your mind, you don't even know they're there. You're obsessing about something for how many hours, right? We all do it. And it's like, wait, I'm doing it subconsciously.
Right.
So to identify, investigate, and incriminate could be a really specific series of choices. That strategy I just gave you, that's not a resolution, that's a decision. You can do that every single time. And that's how we become the better version of us. Trey, always a pleasure. I can't wait. I enjoy being with you at Bowling Green State University at the Stroh Center, watching you play and put those 3-pointers in, right?
Yeah.
But I also look forward to the day when maybe you'll even get me a ticket, right? Maybe you'll give me a ticket to one of your NBA games.
Of course.
Would you do that for me?
Of course.
Okay. I'll get a ticket to one of your NBA games, and to know that who you're becoming and who you have grown into, and I've known you obviously for 3 years, and hopefully we'll know you for life, is that it's not because you, Trey Diggs, have made resolutions, New Year's resolutions, right? But that you are continuing to make decisions in the here and now. Thanks so much for having this conversation with me today, my friend.
Thank you for having me. It was great. I was very excited for this, and it was awesome.
Well, it was fantastic to be with you.
Yeah.
For life coaching, consulting services, or to hire a keynote speaker, please visit dmbcoaching.com.